This is Kelly Shaefer from Till the Dirt, and the album is Outside the Spiral, out August 25th on Nuclear Blast.
Beautiful, Kelly. Thanks for joining us today, brother.
How are you?
I'm very well. And yourself?
Doing great. I'm down sweating it out in Florida.
Oh, geez,
it's about 100 degrees every single day. It's brutally hot.
That's why you live there, though, isn't it? For the climate and the fun.
It's always been good for metal, you know. The heat is notoriously good for metal.
As you say, mate, you're not far off unleashing your latest slab of metal in the form of new album Outside the Spiral, which is also the debut band from the freshly assembled outfit Till the Dirt, mate. So are you any more nervous or anxious with this one, like seeing it's the start of a new chapter?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm anxious more than nervous. I think I've been around for long enough now to but even as long as I've been around, I still feel that that anxiousness, that excitement, that it's been 13 years since I've done a new record. So yeah, 2010 I did Jupiter with the Atheist. So just being back in the cycle of things, and I feel very fortunate and lucky to have tripped upon this this prolific period of songwriting that happened, because I definitely never intended on having a new band or new music at all. It just kind of naturally came out of thin air. And so here I am right back in an album cycle again. And it's fun. It's exciting and it's different. And, but I mean, I think, it's a lot like sending your kids to school, like you hope all the other kids like this kid, and you hope the teacher's nice to him, and you know what I mean? And, so there's those nervous feelings, but I'm super proud of it, and I can't wait for people to hear it. I've been sitting on it for 2.5 years.
Wow. So tell us a bit more about it from a musical point of view then, mate. What you were going for with it?
Well, I mean, it's fusing all of the things that I've loved about. I've had dual careers. I've had a career with Neurotica and a career with Atheist, and both bands, did well in in terms of, making a mark in their own right. And with Neurotica, it was much more of was singing. There was a lot of harmony vocals. It was heavy rock / metal. With Atheist, obviously crazy technical metal. So I never had an outlet like this where I was able to combine the two, and really kind of just pay homage to all of my 90s grunge influences, my stoner rock, desert rock, Caius, Hermano, fucking, all the Atomic Bitchwax, all that kind of stuff that I really, really love, Black Sabbath and 70s sort of thick, groovy shit, along with blast beats and chaotic screams and harmony vocals. So it's a plethora of shit that really just came out of, isolation from COVID and frustration and anger and unknowingness, and so it came from a really natural place where art should come from. There, should come from a place of not just happiness. I mean, some of the best art in the world comes from altered minds and disarray and confusion. And so that's kind of where it came from. And initially I wrote like 25 songs in 6 weeks, and to try to capture everything I could while I was feeling the way that I felt during that time period, because I don't think we'll ever be able to recreate how that felt for anybody in the world. It's something we all shared, for a couple of years with COVID, and it was really bad here in America. I mean, just between the politics of it and the virus itself, I lost a lot of friends, and from the virus and from the feelings about the virus. So it created a lot of tension, which is good for music. It's good for art. Talk is cheap. I can be like, oh, it's this, it's that, but I if you know anything about me and my career with Atheist, that I'm always a bit left of center. And so this is something that I really feel like is, has the capabilities of moving the needle a little bit. There's things happening on this record that have never happened, blending of styles and sort of a blending of genres that hasn't really been tapped into, for better, for worse, but I feel like there's a group, a constituency of young extreme metal fans that haven't really had the proper introduction to really good 90s music.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
because there was a lot of good shit there. There was a lot of stuff on the surface that it's easy for a young 20-year-old to go, ah, fuck the 90s, fuck Pearl Jam, you know. Yeah, okay, fuck Pearl Jam, but don't fuck Alice in Chains. You know, don't fuck old Soundgarden, you know. You're missing out if you're not listening to Bad Motorfinger. And you know what I mean? You're 20 years old and you've never listened to Bad Motorfinger, your life is way lower than mine, you know. You need that in your life, you know what I mean? Like that is those are vitamins that every metalhead's body needs, you know. And so I've just really combined the love of that sort of grindy feeling, that groovy feeling with extreme speed and anger, and that's Till the Dirt, man.
Fuck yeah. Now, I hope I pieced all this together right from the press release, mate. Otherwise, these questions are going to sound a bit stupid. But I got the impression that you went through periods of self-doubt about the new music early in the writing stage. Is that right?
Well, I wouldn't call it self-doubt. I was just confused. I knew it wasn't atheist material, and because it was tuned, I wrote everything on guitar tuned down to B, and typically atheist is always in the key of E, 440. So I knew it wasn't going to be atheist material, and I knew once I put vocals on a couple songs that it was also not atheist because of the clean vocals that I'm using. There's probably 4 or 5 different voices on this album that I was able to tap into that I would never be able to tap into in any other project that I've ever been a part of. So that was an exciting part of it, and but not a self-doubt, but I definitely wanted to send it around to people that would be honest with me and tell me whether it was shit or not, you know. And so I sent it to like Gene Hoglan and Steve DiGiorgio and Jeff Loomis, guys that ended up playing, you know, on the record. In the early stages of it, and got a lot of really great feedback from those guys and inspiration. And obviously, inevitably, Scott Burns came out of retirement to help me produce the record and finish the final product of it. And so guys like that are just brutally honest, and it's in this industry, it's hard to get that kind of honesty. And so I was really looking for it, and so it wasn't really a self-doubt. I was excited about it, but you know, I've been excited about music before that everybody hated. So I was like, fuck, you know, maybe I'm just pissing up a tree. I don't know, you know? So so that's kind of how it happened in the early stages. And I was inspired by their encouragement. And yeah, and it really happened in a real short period of time, 6 to 8 weeks total for 25 songs.
Nice.
And then that little burst was over. And then it was just a matter of trying to figure out, well, is this a band or is it a solo record? Is it, what is it? And then it just felt better to bring in musicians to play, because I played guitar on the record as well for the first time since '93. I played guitar on a record. So I wanted to bring in other artists to play, play what I've written, but to play it in, with their tones and their sounds. And so I ended up just getting lucky and having a wealth of talent to be able to play on the record, to play, my vision. So it was nice. So, I mean, if you're a songwriter yourself, then you know that it's sometimes hard to write with a lot of people because you have to please everybody. And it's super hard to, you kind of have to make concessions along the way because, three of the 4 other guys you play with might have great riffs, but that 4th guy might have a bunch of stinkers. And, and he doesn't want to be left out of the writing process. So you kind of got to concede, like, oh, all right, man, we'll do that riff, but let's do it like this. This process for me was like, I didn't have to ask anybody. I could ask my 3-year-old little boy, what do you think, buddy? And he'd be like, it sounds awesome. Perfect. And so that's how it went, man. And I found that liberating and fun, and a process that I had never been a part of before. So it was nice.
Now, you mentioned that in the process, like, you knew that it was going away from the atheist sort of a sound, but when you knew that was happening, did you put any limitations or any sort of benchmarks or stopping points on yourself, or did you just let the creative period go?
No, I honestly, it happened so fast that I didn't have time to really second guess it or plan on what was going to happen with it. Or, a lot of the cool stuff happened after the songs were sort of demoed and written. And so I was able to, I don't know, just it really happened so fast, and it was just this really short period of time where I just bursted full of all these songs, and then I didn't really know what to do with them. And so it was other people that really kind of helped me shape it into Till the Dirt, and then inevitably putting the band together with Dylan Marks, Jerry Watunsky, Yoav, Ruiz Feingold, and Ian Way. So having a great group of guys to go out and play this stuff, it's going to be it's gonna be a lot of fun, you know. So it's just, you know, not a lot of opportunities at this stage of my career where you get to kind of start over, you know. I mean, it makes something that's relevant and new and modern, and that's what it is. It's definitely not an old guy record, you know. It's you know what I'm saying? And it's not an atheist record in any way. So atheist fans out there, I mean, you know, this is a different animal altogether. So, but you know, it's ferocious and fast and brutal, but it touches on some moments that really haven't been heard, and I don't think in modern metal. So, better for worse, we'll see what happens. You know.
Very cool. Now we brought this up before, and you brushed over it like it wasn't really that big a deal, mate. But you actually had Scott Burns come out of retirement or self-imposed exile to produce the album. Like, that's a pretty big deal, bro. Like, what sort of what effect did that have on the finished result?
Oh man, I mean, listen, Scott Burns to me is like, I can't tell you how important he is to what we all know and love today as classic death metal. You know what I mean? Like he is, you know, he's the for lack of a better comparison, the Bob Rock of that. You know, I mean, he's just really such an important. None of the old records would have got made from, you know, Morbid, Obituary, Atheist, Cynic, Pestilence, all the bands that he worked to death. None of those records get made without his undying dedication to coming in early, staying late. None of us had budgets that were of any substance at all. So really those records got made purely out of his love and appreciation and respect for what we were doing, because he loved the Tampa scene, because every single band in the Tampa scene was different. You know, I mean, if you look back on Tampa Bay death metal and all the bands that came out of there, you know, everybody had success. Everybody stuck around pretty good, but everybody's different. You know, Atheist is Atheist, Obituary is Obituary, Morbid is Morbid, Deicide is Deicide. I mean, it really is pretty interesting when you look back on it. And it doesn't typically happen. Typically, you get one band and then a whole bunch of bands that sound like that. You know, and so he was always seeking that, you know, trying to find something new and different that he could work on to sort of ride off into the sunset with his career. And so when I sent him the demos for this, you know, his words were, you know, listen, this shit is really, really good, and you know, let's work on it together. And he, you know, he really, I mean, you know, he bought me a left-handed bass so I could continue, so I could play bass on the tracks. He sent me bottles of Jägermeister, so because he was asking me, he's like, "How are you writing these songs?" And I was like, I'm stuck at home like everybody, and I've never drank at home in my life. You know, I've always been a social drinker, or I go out to a bar and drink, or if I'm at a show, but never at home, ever. And so now I'm drinking at home, and so I check my doorstep, and there's a big bottle of Jägermeister there.
Champion.
And that's literally how I wrote this music, though. I mean, and that's why another reason why it sounds very different. You know, I've told the stories through this press junket that I'm doing for this record, and I hate to keep telling the same story, but I mean, it really is important because, you know, art is depicted by your surroundings and your condition. You know what I mean? So all of the atheist material I wrote was all pot related. You know, we smoked a lot of pot and played, and so that's a different headspace. When you drink, you know, when you do shots of Jägermeister, you know, and you're in your 3 shots of Jäger, and you have a lot of courage when you drink alcohol that you don't typically have when you're not drinking. And that courage translated musically to Till the Dirt, where I just did things. I didn't give a shit whether I was supposed to do that or not, or whether anybody's going to care or anybody's going to hate it. Like, you know, you feel a lot more brave when you're drinking. And I, you know, I know it sounds cheap and you know, maybe not a great influence on young musicians, but that's the real shit. I mean, that's how this all came together. So this is the you know, not drunk, but just, you know, a couple of drinks, you know, a couple of shots, and you really kind of come up with different things. You try different things vocally, you try different things with your arrangements that you wouldn't normally do if you were just in your 9-to-5 mode, you know, in your daytime. Like you know, me and you were dads, like dad mode. Dad mode is a whole different mode. I can't write songs in dad mode. You know, I have to get into Kelly mode, you know, and so this particular mode didn't, you know, was a whole different headspace. And so I would wake up the next day after writing a song. Like each one of these songs were written basically in one night, and the vocals that you hear on the album are, with the exception of a couple of changes, are all vocals that I did that night after I wrote that song. So they were like literally 2 or 3 hours old, and I really wanted to capture that spontaneous combustion of you know, this is how it is. It's flawed. It's not pretty and pristine. it's nasty. It's like a punk rock way of doing shit in a digital age, you know. And I'm happy that it came out that way. I'm happy that it didn't happen in a big fancy studio. I'm happy that it didn't come together with a team of people. It was just this really honest, organic explosion of ideas, and so excited that I can leave that behind. I mean, as you get older, you start worrying about the things that you're leaving behind, really, musically. And I think I'm really super proud of this one, and I hope that my little 6-year-old, when he grows up, we'll check this record out and be like, yeah, I was fucking there,
That's awesome, bro. Was it really, like, you say that you wrote them all after a couple of shots? Like, were there any of them you wake up the next day without your Jaeger-induced honesty, and you sort of read it and went, maybe I should change that?
Oh, yeah. Well, those songs didn't make the album.
Radio.
I mean, so that's where Scott Burns really played a big role as well. He didn't mix this record. Ryan Vincent mixed this record at Apollo Audio Alt in Missouri, and he's a great guy and did a good job. Scott really just played the producer on this album. The true role of a producer is somebody who doesn't necessarily sit at the console. He kind of Rick Rubin'd it, He just offered his Dalai Lama fucking metal ears, and just would give me advice on which if there's a couple songs I wrote where he called me the next day and said, "That's not Till the Dirt, buddy. That doesn't sound like any of the other songs you sent me." And I would be like, "Fuck," and even if I felt that way, even if I felt they were, I knew he was going to be right, and he's just always right. He has a really great sense of what's good and what's not. And that was invaluable to me. And, so I just felt like if I could make him happy, I'm on the right track, and make myself happy too. You know what I mean? There's some of the songs that didn't make the record because there's only so many songs you can put on a record. But that definitely did happen. On a couple of mornings, I woke up and said, I don't know. I mean, I can't tell you how many hours of music I have written right now. I mean, I don't know. As soon as I got a recording capability at my house, and that was a great thing about COVID, is it, kind of pushed that on me, something that I don't think ever would have happened in any other way. And a friend gifted me a DAW with, the ability to be able to record at home. And I started using the STL guitar. STL Tone Hub has these all these different producer packs with the best metal producers around, and all of their guitar sounds. So you get like 50 sounds per producer. And my friend Mark Lewis turned me onto his pack, and that was inspiring to me because, I mean, do you play at all? Do you play guitar?
Not at all.
Yeah. So to play guitar, I mean, to be able to tap into 100 different amp combinations, a Mesa Boogie, an Orange, a Marshall, a 60s Marshall, a 70s Marshall, you got to have tens of thousands of dollars. Well, now, you have the capability of sitting at home on your laptop and just literally clicking. And these perfect sounds have been created by the producers that recorded them. Will Putney, Mark Lewis, everybody, Howard Benson. And that's the great thing about being older in a modern age. I'm able to tap into all those sounds, and those particular sounds, guitar wise, were inspiring to me. They sound better than any amp I've ever had, because they were masterfully done in a studio, and all I got to do is click on it and my guitar sounds like that. You know what I mean? I'm like, yes, this is amazing. So that was a big deal. That was also something that really fed the idea process. The sound of the drums that I could write, the sound of my guitars, the fact that I could do a complete song with, multi-track guitars and have a really listenable product at the end of the night was mind-blowing to me. And it was almost like an addiction, I mean, because I was just like, man, I'd sit down and set up anything could happen. I don't know what kind of song I'm going to write. You know what I mean? That excitement was feeding me like a junkie, it was, and that was a really cool experience. And the only thing that allowed me to not feel guilty about it was the fact that there's nothing else that I could have done. It was COVID. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't drive anywhere. I couldn't be with band practice. I couldn't do anything like that. So it all lent itself to that, that isolation, and put me in a room by myself. And I figured, and this is what came about.
Yeah, we won't do it too often, mate, because you go stir crazy eventually, but it worked this time.
Well, that's why I was glad I wrote a bunch of songs, so I have another album right behind this one, what I mean, with from the same vibe, so at minimum, I'll be able to put out 2 solid records of stuff that feels like this.
Stuff, man. Well, before we let you go, I've started a new thing up with Heavy now. I'm creating 3 different Spotify lists from artists that we speak to. So using your own songs, it can be Atheist or it can be from Chill the Dirt. But I want you to give me a song okay, the categories are a song to get you up and ready to party. The next one is a song to save your marriage. And the third one is a song that could potentially end your marriage.
Oh, shit. God, that's hard, man. I'm terrible with song titles, too. Let's see. A song to end my marriage. Oh, my God. Shit, I don't even know why I would. Man, that's really hard, buddy.
Well, not would, definitely, but could potentially end a marriage.
What was the first one? What was the first one?
Get you ready to party.
Oh, get ready to party. Opening track of the Chill the Dirt record, Star and Roll. Let's go. It's a ripper. It gets the party started right away. And the second one was?
Someone to save your marriage.
To save my marriage. Grace from Jeff Buckley.
No, they got to be your songs, mate.
Oh, my songs. Oh, yeah. Jesus. A song called Easy Speak that I wrote with Neurotica. It was on the first Neurotica album.
Yep.
And then the next question to end my marriage.
Not necessarily yours, but marriage in general.
Oh shit. I don't know. I just don't write songs like that lyrically. So shit. God, there's no like sexual content hardly at all in any Atheist songs or any Neurotica. There is an Neurotica song called Up in the Hay, which is about, it was about somebody who had cheated on their partner like a lot of times and like serial cheating. And so I would say that Up in the Hay from Neurotica. That's on the on the Blue album.
Beautiful, mate. I'm sorry to put you on the spotlight.
Sorry. Atheist is so particularly different. I can't think on the spot like that. I can't. I'm sorry, buddy.
You did well, my friend. But thanks very much for your time, man. It's been a pleasure.
Sorry.
You, Kelly. The album Outside the Spiral is out August the 25th, and I promise I'll listen to it before it comes out, mate. But in the meantime, you take care and hope you see you out in Australia one day.
Thank you, my friend.